Hi, I'm Bernardo Oyarzu. I'm a visual artist and I live in the south of Chile in a rural peasant area. And I'm going to present a work that I made in 2016, which was exhibited in Santiago, and it is called Tentativa. And the objective of the project is to symbolically replace the statue of the colonizer Pedro de Valdivia, which is installed in the Plaza de Armas in the city of Santiago. The project consists in the elaboration of a big golden guanaco with real pretensions of a statue. This means with parameters, which in this case are pre-Columbian, and by that I mean that it is a pre-colonial artistic canon, and that this is clearly manifested in the interests that are referenced in the statue, and of course in the technique, the format, and how the figure is made concrete. In addition, it is built in the dimensions and the necessary format to make the statue plausible, and that it can therefore replace the monument of the colonizer Pedro de Valdivia, which, as I said before, is located in the Plaza de Armas, in the Arms Square in the city of Santiago. As for the history of this statue, which will be replaced, it was donated by the Spanish colony in 1963 and was installed in the Santa Lucia Hill. And then 3 years later, it was moved to the place where it is today in the Plaza de Armas in Santiago. Basically, to find the monument a better place where it could be better viewed, since then it has been a geographical reference point of a subjective map. And I think that the main reason for that sociological phenomenon, I would say, is because the larger population of Santiago is made up of peasants. Many of these people migrated during the first decades of the 20th century from rural areas. So the figure of the horse is very familiar, very close, very known, and also very attractive. In fact, I myself, when meeting up with someone, I used the horse in the square as a reference point. Many people, in fact, do not say, oh, let's meet up at the statue of Pedro de Valdivia, but instead, let's meet where the horse in the square is. Many people don't even know the origin or who the statue is about or for. The replacement statue, the one that I'm proposing as a substitute for the statue of the colonizer, was reproduced from a small golden guanaco belonging to the Chimu culture, a people who lived in northern Peru, and was composed of many artists and great gold craftsmen who worked for the Inca Empire. The gold piece was found in the archaeological site of Cerro El Plomo, the El Plomo Hill, in 1954 in Santiago. It is a hill that is part of the Andes, and it is right in front of the city of Santiago. Today, that place is an archaeological site, and when they found this site, they found the mummy of an Inca child. Apparently, it was an Inca girl, and she had objects with her, a lot of objects, and they looked like jewelry and toys. And within those items was this small golden guanaco. This finding is relevant because it reveals clear indications of the dominion or the last enclave in the south of the empire. And on the other hand, it will also shed very powerful light on how the Mapocho Valley, where the city of Santiago is located, was formed. And it is also going to somehow bring to light another history of Santiago that is hidden. This small piece demolishes some of the founding stories, especially what they say in relation to the statue of Pedro de Valdivia. Here, he is part of the history of Chile as the founder of the citizenship of Santiago and as the founder of the city of Santiago. So, in a way, this finding comes to reaffirm the existence prior to the arrival of the conquistador. And it allows to reveal and to justify, in my case and in this project, the removal of this colonizing statue. Why? Because it somehow disproves the historical mythomania. And on the other hand, it makes him look like a person that has nothing to do with the place. Somehow he stomps on a very powerful pre-Columban history, which has to do with the city. In this sense, the current attempt is a proposal for a fair and measured substitution of one statue for another, that of a conqueror, a conquistador who came to plunder a city and a country and a territory, etc., and that I intend to replace, albeit symbolically, with the true archaeological reference of an original city that was buried under a great historical lie. It embodies perhaps the greatest of the discursive fallacies of these inductive exercises that end in a republican submission to the European or to everything that has to do with the European and colonization, which adds to the construction of a history and an official identity tending to emphasize the importance of European colonization, but which in the end is always empty of content or historical evidence to support it. Lastly, it all ends up full of artificial and delirious fables. For example, as an anecdotal account, this statue, this monument, is a copy of a series of monuments. That is to say, Spain has a colonizer mold, which can be seen in the image where we can clearly see the statue of Pedro de Valdivia in Santiago, the city of Santiago, and then there's another statue of Hernán Cortés, which is exactly the same. They are twin statues. Therefore, the project is finally going to be, as I said before, a type of symbolical attempt to replace a statue that in some way hides or crushes a pre-existing history. In this case, in the Santiago region.